My best friend is the heroine of a redemption story. While saving her future husband, she also ended up saving me. She said, "Your boyfriend's a total jerk. If you don't want to get played, dump him now." I wavered. But she drew a deep breath. "He'll drag down your finances." I broke up with him on the spot. Jennifer and I have been inseparable since we were kids, so close that if she ever got roped into a pyramid scheme, I'd be the first recruit she signed. So when she told me she'd traveled back from 10 years in the future, my first reaction wasn't that she'd fried her brain. Instead, I shot back. "Why didn't you come 2 days earlier and at least feed me the college entrance essay prompt?" She looked exasperated. "If I'd come 2 days earlier, I'd have to sit the exam. With how rusty I am now, how many points do you think I'd get?" We both fell silent. "Isabel, I need your help," she said. Turns out she came back to save her future husband. This summer, on the night the exam scores come out, our city is about to see something horrific. The city's top scorer kills his own father. The top scorer, Julia, grew up under his father's fists, watching him brutalize his mother again and again, resentment piling up. That night, when his father raised a knife at his mum yet again, he grabbed it and stabbed his father to death. The whole city was stunned. "I'm going to stop it from happening," she said. I nodded hard. "What do you need me to do?" She said, "Julia doesn't know me yet, so we'll need your husband. He and Julia were close in high school. With his help, we'll get twice the results for half the effort. Forgive a girl who just finished her college entrance exam. Hearing your husband made me blush." I whispered, "So, who is my husband? Larry?" "Luke. I don't even know him," she explained. "I'm serious. I just went to your wedding. He said he'd liked you for 12 years. Do the math, he must have had a crush on you in high school." I was still stunned. "Larry?" She snorted. "A jerk who cheated on you over and over and gaslit you non-stop. You cried oceans over him. He wore you down into depression. If it weren't for Luke, you would have..." She cut herself off. I still couldn't believe it. In my eyes, Larry was the campus, golden boy handsome, top of the class, and a good singer. I crushed on him all 3 years of high school. He was moved and promised we'd get together after the exam. It's been not even 4 hours since we officially started dating. I thought I was stepping into sweet romance, then Jennifer dumped a bucket of ice water over my head. "Can't bear to break up?" she asked. I protested. "It's just that we literally got together today." She inhaled and went straight for the jugular. "You two break up junior year of college. He dumps you because your family goes bankrupt. Later, we had a master read your charts. His birth date clashes with yours and wrecks your money luck," she said. "If you still want him, be my guest." Terrified, I grabbed my phone. Just then Larry texted, "Baby, I miss you so much." Under Jennifer's watch, my fingers flew. "I've thought it over. We're not a good match. Let's break up," Larry replied with a single. Afraid he'd keep pestering me, I deleted and blocked him in one go. Jennifer looked approving. I let out a long breath. Less than 20 days remained before the scores would be released. Time was tight. The next day, we headed straight to the hot pot restaurant where Julia worked. According to Jennifer, he'd been there since the exam, saving up for tuition and living expenses. We pretended to be customers and soon got served by Julia. All the servers wore black logo t-shirts. Only Julia wore a long-sleeved shirt under the shop's black apron. He bowed and handed each of us a hot towel. Up close I saw it, an old, long, deep scar running from behind his right ear, down past his collar. Jennifer said he always wore long sleeves in summer because his arms were laced with cane welts and cigarette burns grotesque, frightening. I studied Julia carefully. Single eyelids, very short hair, a sharp profile. Maybe he just carried low pressure around him, even as he bent to serve me. I didn't dare stare. I glanced at Jennifer. Her eyes were already brimming. Hey, I whispered once he walked away. "Pull it together. We've got a job to do." She nodded. The job was to get hired at this hot pot place, get close to Julia, get to know him, and stop what was coming. I scanned the QR code to order, wondering how to stick around. When Jennifer suddenly kicked me, she mouthed, "Your husband." Thanks to last night's all-nighter, I was fully immune to those words. I looked up at the boy nearby. He wore the standard server tee, his face pale under the lights. Fine features, long lashes lowered, looking tense as he stared straight at the lemon water. He kept pouring even though the glass was already full, about to spill over. Under my gaze, his pale profile slowly turned red. The water overflowed. He flushed harder, flustered, grabbing a towel to clean up the mess. Jennifer seized the gap. "Are you hiring for summer help?" Luke paused 2 seconds. "Far as I know, we're not really short-staffed." Another kick from Jennifer. I rushed in. "Could you ask anyway? We really want to work here," he stammered. "Maybe we are hiring. I'll go check." While we waited for the answer, a new crowd surged through the door. I spotted Larry right away and ducked my head. But he seemed to be heading straight for me, striding over with purpose. He stopped at our table and asked, low and humble, "Baby, what did you mean last night?" "That we're done." I looked him in the eye, all feeling gone. Jennifer had listed so many of his scummy moves, timing was the mild stuff. By the end, my fists were clenched. Loving him now would mean I'd lost my mind. Larry's eyes reddened instantly. "But we just got together. Are you messing with me?" He whined. "You've liked me so much for so long. We finally got together. How can you just break up like that?" The way he begged felt wrong. In my memory, Larry wasn't someone who loved me like this. He wouldn't tear up over one line from me. He's always been proud, obsessed with saving face, nose in the air. Break up? He'd shrug, not argue with me in public. A wild thought flashed through my mind. Did Larry time travel too? Once the doubt set in, everything about Larry started to feel off. Like how he was now openly admitting I was his girlfriend in public. Last night, Jennifer had ranted to me about how he'd never once made our relationship public on social media, let alone introduced me to his family or friends. Yet here he was, announcing to all his buddies, "You guys start eating. I'm gonna go sweet talk my girlfriend." The moment the words left his mouth, the hot pot place erupted with teasing whistles and catcalls. Amid the noise, Larry leaned close, voice coaxing, "Baby, don't break up with me, okay?" Before I could answer, he insisted, "I won't agree to it. You'll never get rid of me in this lifetime." I stiffened instantly. Meeting Jennifer's eyes, I saw the same shock mirrored there. This curveball was a real headache. To buy time and think of a plan, I decided to play along for now. I looked at him. "Do you even know what you did wrong?" Larry shook his head, looking lost. I said, "That's your problem. If you can't figure it out, don't talk to me." He sounded almost wounded. "Baby, anything else?" I cut in coldly. "If not, stop bothering me and my friend while we're eating." Larry shot Jennifer a look, then finally pulled out his phone. "Add me back, and I'll leave." Just to get rid of him, I didn't hesitate and re-added him as a friend. Larry left, but the tension at the table didn't lift much. To avoid being overheard, I typed on my phone to Jennifer. "Me. Do you think Larry's like you?" Then, "He's suddenly so in love with me." I was almost sure the change started with that "baby, I miss you" message. Before that, he'd never called me baby. In the 4 hours we'd been dating, I was the one doing all the chasing. Out of nowhere, the roles flipped, and the cold one became the clingy one. Jennifer nodded, cautiously. "Could be." She typed a long line. "After you got together with Luke, Larry came to you a lot, saying he regretted it, that he'd been stupid, not to realize how much he loved you, and he wanted you back. On your wedding day with Luke, he even tried to crash it. Then, he's probably here for you." A prickle of unease ran through me. The last thing I wanted was to be stalked by an ex. Before I could figure out a plan, a server brought over 2 glasses of fruit tea. "From that table over there," she said. He's already paid for your meal. I looked up straight into Larry's gaze. Jennifer whispered, "Now what?" "He's clearly got his hooks in you." That look from him, like a snake flicking its tongue, stuck in my mind, making my skin crawl. The phrase, "like a thorn in my back," popped into my head. In that thick fog of unease and anxiety, a sudden thought hit me. "Then let him stick around," I said. "What?" Jennifer stared. I explained. "I think it's kind of fun knowing that no matter how hard he tries, I'll never like him again." She caught on. "If Larry really did time travel, he's probably certain you still love him right now." I smiled and nodded. "But I don't anymore." Turns out, treating Larry like someone who doesn't matter at all is incredibly satisfying. Especially knowing how badly he treated me before that just makes it sweeter. After I added him back, he started bombarding me with messages. Apologies, confessions, flirty lines, love pleas. He'd send me sappy, romantic lines and sing soulful love songs in that voice I used to be crazy about, constantly trying to reel me back in. Jennifer listened to the voice notes too, afraid I might waver, and kept reminding me of his scummy past. But I really wasn't tempted. In fact, I found it kind of funny. How could it not be? Watching the guy who once lived to hurt me now devote himself entirely to loving me. It became one of our daily amusements, reading Larry's messages for laughs. Jennifer thought it was priceless. "He should have had a day like this back when he was making your life hell," she said. "Lucky he time traveled, otherwise we couldn't mess with him like this." I grinned and wholeheartedly agreed. Compared to how well this was going for me, Jennifer's plan to save Julia wasn't progressing so smoothly. With Luke's help, we'd both gotten jobs at the hot pot place. Outside of work, Jennifer's main mission was to get close to Julia, but he was impossible to approach. Other than Luke, he barely spoke to anyone off shift. It was like he kept himself cut off from all emotion, dodging every chance to get closer to someone. Talk to him and he'd answer. Ask for help and he'd help, but that was it. Watching Jennifer hit wall after wall and grow more frustrated, I decided to ask Luke for help. "Got any way to get them more comfortable with each other?" I asked, catching the flicker of surprise and the slight flush on his ears. "My friend kinda likes your friend, but, your friend's so cold," Luke asked. "Are you trying to set them up?" I sighed. "I'm not even asking for that. I just want Julia not to shut her out so hard." Luke studied me for a moment, then said, "I'll try." And then, like magic, at lunch that day, Julia walked over to our table and asked Jennifer to come with him. Even his invitation was awkward, but Jennifer lit up with joy. I stared after them, then rushed over to Luke with my tray. "How'd you pull that off?" Luke explained first. "Julia doesn't like being pushed into things. He'll only do it if he wants to." "Uh-huh. So I told him I like you and asked him to help me get some alone time." "Uh-huh." My eyes widened. He said, "You're always with your friend." So I told him the only way to get you alone was for him to take her away. I suddenly got it. On the surface, it looked like Julia was helping Luke with me, but really, Luke was helping us with Julia. Genius. Luke asked nervously, "Are you mad?" I just thought this was the only way to get him to act. "It's not real, and I know you have a boyfriend." "I don't have a boyfriend." I cut in. Meeting his startled eyes, I added, "I don't mind. This works fine." I was just thinking he was pretty good at making his own opportunities. Thanks to Luke's roundabout strategy, Jennifer's time with Julia increased a lot. And Luke and I started growing closer too. Before, I'd never really noticed his crush. He never showed any signs, always speaking and acting with perfect propriety, keeping the right distance. Aside from the way he blushed easily when he saw me, he was flawless. Now, maybe because he knew I didn't have a boyfriend, he was letting a bit more slip. Like bringing me a little flower when we came in for work. When I didn't take it, he claimed it was just something he picked by the road, as if there's a roadside anywhere, lined with champagne roses. Blushing under my teasing, he explained, "Since Julia thinks I like you, I have to act the part so he believes it." I thought to myself, sure, keep telling yourself that. Being around Luke felt a bit like working through a proof. I knew the conclusion he liked me. But why he liked me, and how he liked me, those were still mysteries. Hunting for the clues was fun. Watching him try to hide his real thoughts was fun too. Sometimes I'd poke at him on purpose, saying things like, "If you keep this up, I might really think you like me." Seeing him blush, scramble for clumsy excuses, and flounder even during work hours made the days brighter. I thought things would keep going so smoothly until one day, Larry suddenly barged into the hot pot place. I was just grabbing a mop to clean when he shoved me into an empty supply closet. Closing the door behind him, he said, "If someone hadn't sent me a picture, I wouldn't have believed it. You're really here," he growled. "Why? Why are you here? You and he aren't even supposed to know each other yet." If I were truly clueless, I wouldn't have understood a word. But I knew he meant that Luke and I weren't supposed to meet at this point in time. I forced a calm face. "I don't know what you're talking about." Larry stepped closer, gripping my shoulders. "Baby, do you know something?" His voice was full of confusion. "You're supposed to love me. This is when you love me the most. Why is it different? Why is it not the same as before?" I was about to push him off when the door behind him opened. Julia stepped in, probably to return cleaning supplies, and froze at the scene. His grip tightened on the mop in his hand, his eyes turning sharp. "Need help?" he asked. I was about to say yes when I caught Larry staring at Julia's face. He seemed to realize something. "Is it because of him?" He turned back to me, asking as if to confirm. "You know he killed himself. And you're here to stop it, aren't you?" "And what did you say to him?" Jennifer demanded later, clutching my arm, desperate to know what happened after. I ignored him, told him to stop acting crazy. "What about Julia? How did he react?" she pressed. "He didn't," I answered slowly. That's what had me unsettled. A normal person hearing they'd commit suicide should have some reaction, confusion, disbelief, anything. But Julia had nothing at all. A wild thought crossed my mind. Could Julia have time traveled too? Jennifer laughed. "What nonsense are you talking?" Then she said, "He just doesn't care." Or maybe it struck a nerve. Maybe from that moment, the idea of suicide first took root. My heart gave a jolt. I could hardly imagine such words applying to someone who worked so hard every day to earn tuition. I asked cautiously, "What happened with the suicide?" Jennifer seemed lost in memory. It took a long while before she said, "He's been stuck in that summer ever since." She told me that after the parricide, Julia's mother never stopped blaming him. This was the woman who'd suffered years of beatings from her husband. The woman her son had risked everything to protect. And when her husband was dead, her first thought wasn't relief, but that she no longer had a husband. "She always blamed him," Jennifer said. "Julia got 4 years in prison. She never visited him once. Not only that, after he was released, she kept harassing him, sending messages and letters, accusing him of being heartless, calling him ungrateful, saying if she'd known it would come to this, she'd never have given birth to him." "Oh my God," I breathed. The news back then was huge. Everyone said he was still young, that he'd be fine once he got out. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears, but getting out wasn't a fresh start. It was a new hell. Maybe he finally couldn't take it anymore. On another exam results day, Julia smuggled a razor blade into the bathroom in his clothes. By the time Jennifer went in to look for him, the tub was full of blood. He was covered in it, pale as a sheet, cradled in Jennifer's arms. Wiping her tears gently, he told her, "Don't cry. It's my fault. It's all my fault." She brainwashed him, didn't she? "Probably," Jennifer said. "I hate that woman, but I don't know how to punish her. So I went public. I told the media, let the world judge her. Who was right or wrong back then? And who's right or wrong now?" Jennifer gave a bitter smile. "It can't all be Julia's fault." But before I could see the outcome, I time traveled. A voice told me I could change Julia's past. I thought back to that day after the exam, when Jennifer had nervously, excitedly told me she'd come from 10 years in the future. I hugged her carefully. "You can. You definitely can." "I'm scared," she confessed, leaning on my shoulder. Every time I see Julia go back to that house, I'm scared. Every time I see a new injury, I'm scared. I'm scared I can't change anything, that my coming here is for nothing, that the gears of fate are locked on that day. No, they're not, I said, holding her tight. You're not just here to save Julia. You're here to save me, too. If it weren't for you, I'd be dating Larry right now. And dating a jerk, how disgusting is that? But now, not only am I not dating him, I met Luke early and skipped a ton of wrong turns. That proves fate can change. Julia will be fine, too. I kept talking until she finally fell asleep on my shoulder. I had just laid her on the bed when Larry texted again. Baby, I'm sorry. Today was my fault. I just don't get it. How could you stop loving me all of a sudden? Is it because of Julia? Did you already know what he's going to do? I still hadn't shaken the chill from when Larry's attention had fixed on Julia. To keep him from messing with Jennifer's plan, I decided to give Larry a little gift. I gathered all his endless WeChat messages and the Hot Pot shop's surveillance footage and handed them to the police. They charged him with harassment, 5 days in detention. I was very satisfied. At least now there was no chance of him being a threat again. 3 days later came exam results day. As expected, Julia took first place in the city. When his teacher called to share the good news, he was busy clearing empty plates. After a few words of thanks, he put his phone away and went right back to work. His calm, almost indifferent reaction made me sigh inwardly. Classic top student! Luke came over. What's with that look? Is being top scorer really that worship-worthy? I winked at him. You don't admire him? Luke fidgeted a little. I was 5th in the city. Not bad either, right? I played along. Wow, that's amazing! His face turned red instantly. He glanced away, but the twitch at the corner of his lips made it obvious he enjoyed the praise. I thought to myself, awkward, but kind of cute. Did you talk to him about tonight? I asked. Luke nodded. I told him I was going to confess to you. He promised he'd come and support me, even stay out all night. That satisfied me. This was the strategy Jennifer and I had worked out. We couldn't control what Julia might do, but we could make sure he wasn't there. As long as he didn't go home that day, there was no way the parricide could happen. After our shift at the Hot Pot place, the 4 of us headed to the mall's KTV. Long sofa, 4 people in a row. Julia and Jennifer sat in the middle. When I saw Julia twist open a bottle cap for her, a warm wave of satisfaction washed over me. Finally, the eternal iceberg knew how to take care of a girl. Luke and I exchanged a glance, both thinking they might actually have a chance. Then Jennifer and I shared a look, both feeling tonight's plan might just work. Pressure and tension melted into the music, song after song, and it was nearly midnight. I let my guard down, cracking sunflower seeds. Suddenly, Julia's phone lit up. He glanced at it, then shot to his feet, grabbing it and heading out. Luke stopped him. What's wrong? Julia hesitated, looking between me and Jennifer before telling Luke quietly. He's been drinking. I'm a little worried about my mom. Jennifer realized the plan was unraveling and called urgently. Julia, don't go. Sorry. You guys keep having fun, Julia said politely. Something came up at home. I need to check. His hand was already on the door handle when Jennifer shouted again. Don't go, stay. He paused for a moment, but didn't stop. He opened the door and left. The room fell silent. I'm going after him, Jennifer said, bolting out. I followed close behind, Luke right after me. But by the time we reached the mall entrance, Julia was gone. Jennifer scanned around, then turned to Luke. Do you know where he lives? Luke said, Julia doesn't like people getting into his family's business. Too bad. Tonight, we're getting involved, Jennifer said firmly. It's not safe for you, Luke explained. His family situation. His dad's a long-time drunk, and when he's drunk, Jennifer cut him off, almost crying. Please, take us. Luke hesitated and looked at me. I pleaded too. Please. If we don't go now, something will happen. All right, Luke waved down a cab and took us to Julia's place, a run-down old apartment building. We'd barely reached the second floor when shouting from the fourth was already clear. Luke sensed trouble and sprinted up ahead. Jennifer and I followed. We burst through the door into a scene straight out of a nightmare. A red-faced man, reeking of alcohol, held a knife high over his head, ready to bring it down. And under that knife, an exhausted Julia was shielding a middle-aged woman in his arms. She was sobbing, trembling in his embrace. Jennifer screamed so loud she nearly fainted. "No!" Luke lunged forward to block him. But those few steps weren't fast enough. Just as Luke's foot slammed into the man, the knife came down on Julia's back. Blood gushed instantly. Jennifer rushed in to press the wound, while Luke used all his strength to restrain the raging man, shouting to me, "Call the police! Now!" But another voice, louder and harsher, screamed, "Don't call! Don't call the police! Don't arrest my husband!" I looked up at the frantic woman and snorted before firmly dialing 110. That chaotic night ended in the hospital. Thankfully, Julia's injury hadn't hit bone or internal organs. The cut was deep, but it was all surface. With rest, he'd heal. Outside his hospital bed, Jennifer clutched his hand, relieved. Luke and I sat on the bench in the corridor. His gaze drifted far away, lost in thought. I snuck a look at him, only to meet his eyes. "You knew something was going to happen tonight, didn't you?" he asked softly. "That's why you didn't want Julia to go home. That's why you insisted I take you there." His tone held no accusation, only a quiet request for the truth. But I still said, "I can't tell you." Jennifer hadn't told him because she thought Julia wouldn't believe. I didn't tell him because I wasn't sure I could trust him, not yet. Even if he was going to be my future husband, he hadn't earned my full trust at this stage. "I can only tell you we meant no harm," I added. He smiled faintly. "I know you're trying to help Julia. I just want you to know I'll always be on your side. If you ever need anything, you can come to me. I'll do everything I can," he said. In that moment, the door of trust inside me cracked open just a little. After the call, Julia's father didn't face much punishment. Since it was considered a family matter, and his mother insisted it was an accident, not intentional, the police could only give a warning and let him go. Still, the uproar online was big. Luke and I made sure of it. It wasn't hard to leak the story to the media, especially with Julia's top scorer title. A headline like, "Top exam scorer stabbed by father hospitalized," could only be described as outrageous. Parents and kids alike felt for him. Online, the outrage was deafening, and it quickly spilled into real life. Neighbors and relatives who learned what the couple was like would cross the street to avoid them. The bolder ones even threw a few scathing words their way like rats everyone wanted gone. After leaving the hospital, Julia never went back home. He moved into Luke's apartment in the city. When I learned Luke owned a place there, my first thought was shock. "You're that well off, and you still work at a hot pot place," Luke muttered, for him. I figured that kind of brotherhood could move mountains. Jennifer wanted to keep an eye on Julia full time, and I wanted to stay with her, so the four of us ended up living together. At first, it was just young people hanging out, but once Julia recovered, he couldn't sit still. He wanted to go out and earn money. Jennifer didn't want him running around and came to complain to me, so I turned to Luke. He always had a way, using Julia's top scorer status. He recruited a batch of students and set up an online tutoring business. With classes scheduled from morning till night, Julia could teach from home and earn far more than working at the hot pot place. Julia was happy with the arrangement because it paid well. Jennifer was happy because Julia could be with her. I was happy because Jennifer's smile came more often. Luke was happy too, though. I didn't know why. He just was. In short, everyone was satisfied. While Jennifer and Julia were busy studying and making money, Luke and I were stressing over our college applications. It should have been simple, just fill it out like before. Jennifer had already told me she'd gone to N University before. But N University was a choice I'd made for Larry. So this time, I wanted to pick something different. So I asked Luke, "Where are you applying?" He ticked off a few schools, ones where his scores easily qualified, and mine just barely made the cut. I turned and stared at him. He looked away, mumbling awkwardly. These schools all have good computer science programs. I like them. I kept staring until his face slowly turned red. Lately, being around him often felt like holding a can of soda that had been violently shaken, just waiting for the tab to be pulled so it could explode. He didn't break the thin paper between us, so I pretended not to notice. All right, I said. Wherever you apply, I'll apply. Luke tried to hide the smile, tugging at his lips, and quickly flipped open a book, abruptly launching into a discussion about the origins of planets. Me? Fine. Whatever. That quiet, pleasant time ended with a phone call from Larry. Since the police report and his detention, I hadn't heard from him in a long while. I hung up immediately. He called again. Hung up, called again. Annoyed, I was about to block him when he sent a message. I'm on the school rooftop. I want to see you one last time. My fingers froze. Then, we need closure, don't we? Or do you want me to keep pestering you forever? I hesitated for a few seconds, then replied, Got it. I saw Larry again on the school rooftop. I'd always known him as clean-cut and elegant. He was the campus heartthrob, after all, hardly ever looking anything but handsome. Now, though, he slumped against the rooftop railing. His once white shirt yellowed, stubble on his chin, looking utterly worn down. Empty beer bottles lay scattered around him. When he saw me, he pulled a faint smile. You came. I asked, What do you want to say? Cold as ever, he said. Shouldn't you be loving me most at this point? If that's what you're here to say, I'm leaving. Julia's situation, that was you, wasn't it? He said. If you hadn't interfered, his parricide would be making sensational headlines right now. I stayed silent as he rambled. Since we both know, I won't beat around the bush. After I was thrown out of your wedding, I wandered aimlessly and got into a car accident, Larry said. Right before I died, a voice asked me if I could go back. Would I be confident I could end up with you? Of course I said yes. I even picked the time when you loved me most. But I didn't expect that voice to play me. It sent you back too. Turns out no matter what point in time I return to, you still won't love me. I wanted to argue but decided there was no point reasoning with a drunk. Hurting you back then was my fault. I didn't recognize my feelings. I'm sorry. I regret it. Being tormented twice over is what I deserve. I just don't know what else I can do to win you back. He suddenly looked up at me. Tell me, what can I do to make you believe I love you? I don't need your love, I answered. Ha, ha, ha. Larry downed the last sip of his drink, the light fading from his eyes. I think I'm going to die. That voice said, if I could be with you, I'd find happiness. If not, I'd die. He gave a bitter smile. I've already died once. I'm scared. Can't you just say you love me? Give me some courage. I sighed. Larry, your tragedy isn't my doing. I know. It's what I deserve, he said. I just want to hear you say you love me. Seeing no point in listening further, I turned and walked away. So heartless, he called after me. Here, I've got a gift for you too, he shouted. Before you came, I called Luke. I just wanted to test how much he loves you. His voice floated after me. Once he knows everything, will he still love you? I bolted down the stairs, shaking off that deathly voice. As soon as I ran out of the building, I collided with someone. Luke grabbed me. Hey, slow down. What happened? Still rattled, I blurted. What did Larry say to you? What did he tell you on the phone? Luke's reaction felt like it belonged in a whole other world. He scratched his head shyly. I don't remember. After he said I'm your husband, I couldn't hear anything else. Huh? My jaw dropped. Really? He said. After that, my head was just full of the thought that I'll be your husband. I couldn't even read. I was so restless. I just came to find you. I licked my lips, not sure what to say. Guess being love-struck has its perks. At least he knew what to hear and what to ignore. whatever Larry was trying to stir up. If Luke didn't care, then it didn't matter. On the bus ride back, we sat in the back row. Luke's mind was clearly still stuck on the word husband, the tips of his ears, an unusual shade of red. I felt like that shaken soda can was about to burst, so I just asked, "You like me, right?" Luke nodded shyly.
Why?
That had always been my question with him. We hadn't gone to the same high school, had no daily contact, no shared hobbies, even lived on opposite sides of the city. There was no reason for him to like me. "Do I have to say?" he asked. I said, "I really want to know." "Finally," he began. "New Year's performance. First year of high school, my friend dragged me to your school. Then he pulled me on stage to play guitar. The guitar wasn't tuned right. The audience was booing. And while I was tuning it, you were the first person to clap for me." "That's it?" I asked, feeling it was absurd. Luke must have sensed my disbelief, because after a long silence he muttered miserably, "It was love at first sight. The moment I saw you from the stage, I liked you. But back then, your eyes were only on Larry." His aggrieved tone told me why he didn't like to mention it. Because when he fell for me, I was looking at someone else. "You knew I liked someone else, and you still liked me?" I asked. He smiled faintly. "If feelings could be controlled, that'd be nice," he said. "Besides, I couldn't help it. You were the first person I ever liked, and I didn't know how to like someone. When I missed you badly, I'd just follow my instincts and come to your school to see you, watching from afar. The more I looked, the less I could let go." I teased him on purpose. "Did you enjoy watching me and Larry being all lovey-dovey?" He muttered, "You two weren't that sweet." I burst out laughing. He realized what he'd said and blushed again. "I don't like Larry anymore. Haven't for a long time," I told him. He said. At first, I didn't dare believe it. "And now?" I asked. "Do you believe me?" "I don't need to believe that," he said. "I just want to know, do you like me, even just a little, right now?" My heart skipped a beat. The bus was almost at our stop. The mechanical voice reminded passengers to get ready to disembark, while Luke's eyes still burned into me. It felt like everything was pushing me to make a choice early. Did I like him? Honestly, yes. He was sincere and warm, and he carried the most fervent love in the world. It was hard not to. I took his hand and pulled him toward the back door of the bus. As the doors opened, I leaned in and whispered in his ear, "Yes, I like you a lot." He completely froze, letting me lead him home like that. After much discussion, the four of us decided to apply to the same university. After all, Luke and I were officially together. And even though Julia and Jennifer weren't a couple yet, the Jennifer can't leave me. Julia can't leave Luke. Principle meant we all stuck together. The day our admission letters arrived, something else happened. Julia's father passed away. Apparently, after drinking, he took cephalosporin for a fever, had an allergic shock, and died because he couldn't be saved in time. The dramatic part was that Julia's mother had been the one to give it to him. She didn't know that drinking followed by cephalosporin could cause a disulfiram-like reaction. It was an ignorant mistake. The moment I heard, I wanted to talk to Jennifer about it. I wondered if the woman who had once blamed her son for killing her husband would now, knowing she had accidentally killed him herself, feel guilty for life. Jennifer gave a cold little laugh. "Karma, I guess. Cause and effect always have their reckoning, even with the strained family ties." Julia, as the only son, still went home to handle the funeral. But when he returned, he seemed listless. Jennifer asked what was wrong. Julia said, "My mom blames me for leaving fever medicine in the house." Jennifer immediately flared up. "What's that got to do with you? It's not your fault." I agreed. "Yeah, he's the one who drank," Luke nodded. "Exactly. There are plenty of fever meds. Why pick cephalosporin of all things?" Julia thought for a while, then nodded, finally letting it go. "You're right. It's got nothing to do with me." He went home a few more times after that, always with Jennifer accompanying him. She didn't trust his mother not to say something awful to him again. Watching them leave together, I made a bet with Luke, who was reading on the sofa. Digging into a watermelon, I asked, "When do you think they'll get together?" Luke closed his book. "Next year? Julia's not easy to win over," he added. "This year," I said confidently. "After all, there's no one my best friend can't win over." He smiled and asked, "What's the bet?" "You tell me." Luke suddenly fixed his gaze on me, his eyes drifting from mine to my nose to my lips. Slowly and seriously, he said, "If you lose, you have to kiss me." I braced my hands on the sofa and leaned forward to brush his lips. "Pick another one." Luke froze for a few seconds, then grabbed the book on the sofa to cover his face, his eyes peeking over the edge, bright and damp. "I can't think of one. You say." I frowned, pretending to think hard. "I can't think of one either." In the end, the bet was void for lack of stakes. That summer, after the exams, flew by in laughter and play. Soon, it was the start of a new school year. The four of us packed our things and, as soon-to-be freshmen, stepped into university side by side. The road ahead was unknown, but the future was right under our feet, ready to be explored.